Welcome back, guys, and as you can see, we are back in the truck.
In the truck once again.
We're heading up north to the woods in northern Georgia. We're going through one of Chris and I's favorite towns of all time, ATL.
Atlanta.
We 75 through Atlanta. There's not much worse. So we figured, since we're probably going to have an hour or two here of traffic, that it was time for another truck talk. So
it's either that or go insane.
Yeah. So we thought we'd bring you guys along, and the topic that we're going to talk about today, as you know, today is September 5th. So Hurricane Dorian is somewhere near North Carolina now. It was near Florida for what, 10 days? It seemed like.
Well,
2 weeks.
It was approaching Florida for I think 10 days, and then it hung around for 3 or 4.
The only thing, do you know what it reminded me of? The steamroller in Austin Powers. Get out of the way! Ah! And it's just moving like this slow.
Yeah.
That's what it felt like.
Yeah, this one was reminding me a lot of Irma, because Irma we had the track so far out.
Yeah.
And oh God, it's gonna destroy us all. No, it's not gonna. And was it Irma or Matthew where Shepard Smith was talking? You and everybody you know are gonna die, and your kids are gonna die too. Like he said that on Fox News about. I don't remember if it was Irma or Matthew.
So what we're gonna do is we're gonna talk about the last 3 hurricanes that have hit Florida, come near Florida, and the differences of them. A lot of you guys were asking what were our preps, what we're doing, this, that, and the other. So we kind of thought we'd kind of break it down. And the biggest thing is Chris and I have lived in Florida now for decades, and the biggest thing that drives me nuts is people act like another hurricane is never going to happen.
Yeah.
And I mean, we saw it again this time, both where I live and where Chris lives. Stores were out of water. Home Depot was out of plywood, generators.
Days ahead of it coming too.
Yeah.
So far in advance that the local news in Orlando anyway was having a field day with being in the stores and showing the bare shelves and talking to people. And so many of them, in Orlando in particular, were like, well, I'm back to stock up again because I used all my bottled water and snacks that I bought.
I will not eat my hurricane snacks. I will not eat my hurricane snacks. But yeah, and it's one of those things where I think, I will say, Irma caused a little bit of disaster.
Yeah.
A little bit of, it caused
damage.
Some issues, some damage.
Yeah, there was some damage.
Matthew really shook everybody when it went through
Puerto Rico.
Panama City.
I'm sorry, not Puerto Rico. That was Maria.
Anyways,
yeah.
When it went across Florida, hurricane Category 5 caused a ton of damage. And I think people still had Matthew in the back of their minds.
Yep.
And stores' shelves cleared a lot quicker for Dorian this time.
Yes,
I mean,
they
just water was gone.
Did
things like bread.
Did you guys have gas stations run out?
Yeah, gas stations.
Yeah.
Gas stations ran out. Super quick. So it's one of those things, though, that I saw that happen this time. What boggles my mind and drives me nuts is the day after Dorian was gone from Florida. It never really touched Florida. Very little damage,
very little.
Across the East Coast, Daytona area. They got some decent winds. They
actually only got a little bit of wind, and they got some storm surge, and they kept making such a big deal out of the potential storm surge, which really wasn't anything. Actually.
But what drives me nuts is, as soon as the hurricane was away, people started taking generators back. They started taking unused supplies back.
Yeah, it's crazy to be at Lowe's and see somebody returning plywood or OSB even.
Right.
It's the cheapest crap you can get to cover your windows with, and they're going to return it. Because, like you said earlier, people have short-term memories.
Yes.
And, it's never going to happen again.
And we're not even out of hurricane season yet.
No, we're in peak season, actually.
Peak season, and these people are taking things back.
Yep.
And, I'm going to go through what I did for Dorian. I'm not saying that I'm 100% prepared, squared away, ready to go. I did not buy any water. I did not buy any food. I put some gas in one of my vehicles because I needed it. As my wife and I's, celebrate our anniversary, I also wanted to. So she's big into Broadway and things like that. So we went to New York City for 4 days. So we left 2 days pretty much before the storm hit, 2-3 days, or before it was supposed to hit, and then it slowed down even more and even more.
So your plan was to run away? That was your
yeah,
plan.
I didn't run away. I flew away.
I
flew away. It's even faster than running away.
It's way faster.
I wanted to go down to the 9/11 monuments and kind of see that, and you'll see some cool pictures in the next couple of days. But it was one of those things where we kept getting what are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? You shouldn't have to do much.
No.
If you are a prepared individual.
Yep.
And and it starts with, if you live in an area, it could be hurricanes, it could be tornadoes, it could be earthquakes. You should be prepared for that event.
Yep.
Because there's a good chance that it's going to happen. It seems like on a yearly basis. Like if you live in Tornado Alley, you should be ready for tornadoes during that season every year. You should have some water for a couple of days. You should have food for a couple of days. And I think
you should have a shelter underground for a couple of days.
Exactly.
Storm shelter.
So I mean things like that, I think people just overlook at times.
Well, it's like Alan Kay, our buddy, says, because he's the first person I heard say this, and I like to repeat it, is if you stay ready, you ain't got to get ready.
Yeah.
So when I tracked the hurricanes, when it was way out there, I'm watching it, and I'm like, all right, there's some stuff I'm going to have to start doing probably. The last time I boarded my house, I bought OSB boards, and I boarded my windows, and took them down and burned them in the burn pile. This year I bought regular, nice plywood, and we cut them. We did not put them on, but they're cut and numbered for every window on my house, and now they're stored in my pole barn.
Let me ask, how did you number them? Because people like to know. Do you go like clockwise all the way around? Do you number the windows and number the board?
I actually went counterclockwise.
Okay.
And I just numbered the boards because I know where window number 1 is.
Yep. So you just one is the left and go around.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. So I went counterclockwise because we read left to right, and that's how I did it. That's how we count too.
Sure.
So yeah, I cut them all and stored them away, and we didn't even put them up.
Yeah.
The only other major thing I did was to get on the horn to my fuel company early in the storm's path and make sure that I was on the schedule to get a fuel delivery because I keep tanks at home, big ones.
Yeah.
Excuse me. And made sure I had fuel. I started my generator. It started. I shut it off. Cleaned up my yard.
Got rid of
got anything loose. We threw a bunch of stuff in our greenhouse, and that was my biggest concern for the hurricane. Wasn't food, water, and none of that.
Yeah.
Was how do I keep my wife's greenhouse from blowing away?
Yeah.
And my plan.
Because it is part of her prized possession. I mean,
it's full of things.
Yeah.
Not plants. But it's full of stuff. But the only thing I could come up with, and I was going to do this, but ended up not needing to do it, so I don't know if it would have worked or not. I was going to shrink wrap it.
Yeah.
I was going to. So my thinking was, it's all going to be there, or none of it's going to be there.
Right.
And either way, I won't have to deal with it.
Right.
I don't have to try to repair some jacked up greenhouse because it'll either blow the whole damn thing away and it'll be in the next county, or it'll still be there when I come out. And then the other thing that we did, my local group was to ensure that we had our comm system up, operational and functionally checked. For my local group, we actually have our own private repeater on a VHF frequency under an FCC license, so unlicensed people can operate these radios. And we had a frequency set. We did radio checks, made sure everybody could talk. Because, when the last one came through our area, it knocked out the power, landline phones, cell towers, whatever. There was no communications whatsoever. And so we just wanted to make sure that this time we would have comms. At least to be able to communicate amongst our local group to make sure, hey, you need help, somebody can help you, whatever. And that was the majority of what we did. I spent the majority of my time messing around with radio systems and other people's radios and the repeater, and Aaron, the great guy that runs pretty much our comm thing for us, did a really good job, and everybody was set to go. Other than, I think Mel made a trip to the grocery store just to make sure we'd have stuff to make a couple sandwiches and potato chips. That was it. I don't even buy bottled water, so I never even looked for it. There were no mass hysteria runs to the store or for gas or anything. You know, I just watched the track and prepped my yard.
Yeah,
you know, that was it.
And you know, I got back, which because the storm slowed down so much, it was supposed to be here like Sunday night. My wife and I were flying back Sunday night. Ended up not getting here until Wednesday. So Monday was Labor Day. So I had the day off. So went to my dad's place, made sure everything was good there just in case.
Yeah, not like he needs much either because your dad's squared away.
Yeah. But we made sure chainsaws were gassed up, oiled, chains ready to rock and roll, sharpened.
Yeah, I did that too. I pulled out the bar oil, spare chains and everything, made sure the chainsaw was set to go.
So, you know, we went through all the chainsaws, made sure everything like that was ready because, you know, in Florida we've had a lot of rain and even a little bit of wind. These things can get waterlogged. And just a little bit of wind can push them over, you know, block a street or block a driveway or fall on a house, anything like that. And it's things we wouldn't even call like hurricane related, but you know, it happens. So, you know, my dad and I, usually what we'll do is we'll drive around the couple of neighborhoods that we have friends and family in, make sure they can, you know, egress and degress out of the neighborhood. No trees have fallen down. We'll help people if we see that they need help.
Oklahoma City, you remember who he was going to pull security for?
Yeah.
It's interesting, guys. We're noticing, and like you'll see, like right here, here's Swiftwater Rescue.
Yep.
The number of utilities, Oklahoma City. So people came all the way, think about that, they came all the way from Oklahoma City.
Oklahoma City, we've seen Iowa. We saw some Michigan earlier. Got another line truck up here. I mean, it's been rows.
There's been line trucks, tree guys. I've seen a lot of fire departments. And early this morning, you know, I had to go to Tampa before I came up to Gainesville. Did you guys? There was another Swiftwater Rescue, but they were broke down on the side of the road. They had a flat tire on the trailer. But it was interesting to see that. I don't think people they don't see that machine in motion. How, all right, this thing's coming. It's probably going to hit Florida. How that help pours in.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, and let's talk about that a little bit because it's a trend that's starting to happen. You know, you start talking about pretty much any state now that borders an ocean.
Yep.
So I mean Texas, Louisiana, all the way up to New York. The governors of all those states don't want to be the governor that gets stuck with a horrible storm that they didn't call. So what we're getting now in the state of Florida a lot is when the storm is like 10 days away, 5 days away, we go into a state of emergency.
Yep.
So that they have FEMA at call, National Reserve at call, because they don't want to be the example of no help was on the way.
What the hell's on? Is there something on fire?
Let's see. I don't know. This is typical Atlanta.
No, that looks like a fire.
That looks like a fire. That's what you get when you ride Truck Talk here.
Yeah.
So let's see what we got here.
This is interesting. That's thick.
Yeah. We're like 3 lanes over, so.
I say they're cutting concrete.
It could.
It smells like cutting concrete to me.
Let's see here. We don't see anything.
I say concrete's either being milled or cut, or it was heavy exhaust from a truck. I don't know. Interesting. Nothing's here.
Yeah. Nothing.
Huge plume of smoke. Nothing around.
So, all right.
All right. Back to where we were.
But yeah, so state of emergency. You know, getting declared.
Yep.
Which it costs a lot of money.
Oh yeah.
A lot of taxpayer dollars.
It puts a lot of wheels in motion.
Yeah.
You know.
And
here's more Oklahoma City.
Yeah.
Got to hand it to Oklahoma City. They sent some help, boy. I mean, that's all right there. Big props to Oklahoma City.
So, you know, it's starting to become one of those things where I think nationwide, we're trying to figure out better ways to be more prepared for these situations.
Well, there is no way to win in one of these, for the politicians in particular. Because no matter how much they do, depending on the severity of the storm, they can't do enough.
Yep.
Look, Puerto Rico is a prime example. they got hammered. And right now we can say the Bahamas are in the same exact boat. We have the same thing. U.S. Virgin Islands. They're a U.S. protectorate. They're our responsibility.
Yeah.
And there's the British Virgin Islands as well, but they took it on the chin in a huge way.
For like 48 hours.
Yeah, for 2 days. 200-mile-an-hour winds in places.
Yeah.
For over a day.
Yeah.
And if you see any of the aerial shots, there's places that look like Andrew after in Miami. Just, there's slabs where houses used to be. It's very hard to prepare for that.
Yeah.
And you have to have the post-incident response spun up, which is what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Because, like the people in Bahamas in particular, they have no fresh water, very little freshwater generation. There's no wells. Those people live off cisterns on their houses. Their cisterns got inundated with seawater, so now they have no fresh water to drink. They're down to bottled water. People here, like in Florida, it cracks me up the way the media hypes up bottled water and people hype up bottled water. Folks, we live in houses with running water. It's the cleanest water, municipal water, basically on the planet. I'm not a fan of municipal water, but it is the cleanest stuff.
Yeah.
You can get in a city in this country, you can drink it. You can put it into containers and store it. You don't have to run out and buy bottled water. But everybody acts like that's the metric of panic.
Yeah.
When the stores run out of bottled water, oh God, it's going to be horrible. But by getting the response spun up for those people that are truly devastated, like again the Bahamas,
Yeah.
like Puerto Rico, and Puerto Rico's still recovering. There's still parts of
Yeah.
Puerto Rico with no power. Can you imagine how long the Bahamas are going to be without power?
Right. Yeah, and it's one of those things where the biggest thing that I try to tell people is take your own personal situation. Like if Dorian would have been, God forbid, a little bit worse.
Woo.
But
Or
take
a little west.
Yeah, take your own situation though. What did you do right? What did you do wrong? What were you prepared for? If you did have to run out for things, what did you have to run out for?
Yeah.
Make sure that that's part of the next steps of becoming more prepared is getting those items. Don't go buy another rifle.
No.
If you went out and bought bottled water or candles or, food.
Yeah, if you bought a generator that you returned, you better not be buying a rifle.
Yeah.
Because that means you don't have the money to spend on the generator, and that's a real deal. Budgets are budgets.
Yep.
We all got to live within our means. And if it was, man, I really don't have the money, but if the power goes out for 2 weeks, we're going to be, in a world of hurt. We're going to go buy a generator just in case. And then you never take it out of the box and you return it when the storm passes. That's kind of a foolish move.
Yeah.
There's going to be another one, or there's going to be a power outage, or there's going to be something where you're going to need that generator, and you should have just kept it when buy once, cry once. Not only goes for buying the best you can get for your money, but to buy those things that you really need to have that you may not necessarily use that often.
Yeah.
Like, I've got a $3,000 15 kW generator at my house that I've ran through one hurricane. But I've used it a lot around my place.
Right.
I've got a 5-acre place. Sometimes I need power and different. I'll drag the big generator out. Well, actually, I pick it up and carry it with a tractor because it's too big to drag. But I didn't return my generater. I kept it. Just like my fuel. I said I called the fuel company, got them to come fill my tanks up. That's expensive. That cost me I think it's $1,200 or $1,300 to have those tanks filled.
Mm-hmm.
It's a big chunk out of pocket. But I have it.
You have it. And that's one of the things where if you live in an area, let's just say it's a condo or an apartment and you can't have a generator, have alternative means to power.
Yep.
Look into solar. Look into something like a BioLite stove that you can feed sticks and stuff into and produce power off of it. To be able to charge cell phone. Yeah, it's not going to run a refrigerator, but it's going to run your cell phone. It's going to be able to keep you informed on what's going on. It's going to be able to keep, flashlights and things like that charged as well. Look for alternatives to that. I think it's overlooked a lot. I think people think they have to be able to run their whole house, their entire house, when as long as we can keep the necessities, as long as we can keep information and, I think a couple of lights on here and there, it makes life a whole lot easier.
Well, it's like we've talked about before in our solar power things and whatnot. when there is no power, a little power goes a long way. A little power is a lot of power. And we are spoiled rotten in this country. You know, we have power all day long. We have, you know, conditioned air and hot water and running water, and everything's in a flip of a switch, the touch of a finger, or hell, if you've got Alexa in your house spying on you, all you got to do is ask for things and they can happen in your home. So we're very spoiled. But you realize, you know, mankind existed for a long time without this stuff.
Yeah.
This is relatively new, 100 years, 120 years, whatever it is, that we've had power.
Yeah.
You'll live without power. You're not going to die. But the thing is, there's so many people alive today that have no concept of life without. Like, well, I've had power my entire life, but I've spent a lot of time studying places that don't, and traveled in some of them and spent time in them. You'll live without power. Yeah. Will you be as comfortable? Nah.
No.
You're going to be hot, smelly,
Yeah.
a little miserable, until you learn to accept the situation, which is a big deal. You know, post storm, there's a psychic term for it. What's the psychiatric term? It's post-disaster stress or something like that. Almost like PTSD, but it's about disasters, and there's a whole science behind it. And one of the biggest things you can do for yourself is to simply accept what's occurred.
Right.
This is my new reality, and how
For
can
the-
I...
for the short
For right
future.
now, this
Yep.
is where I'm at right now, and what can I do to improve it with what I have?
Yeah.
And learn your lessons, like we've talked about. You know, if you were in the path of the storm and you got whacked, you're going to learn some lessons. If you prepared for the storm and you didn't get whacked, you're thinking, man, I just wasted a lot of money on a bunch of stuff I don't need now.
Yeah.
Well, you're going to need it at some point, and you learned a lesson. And an education is always expensive.
Yeah.
You're going to pay for an education. So, you know, I like to tend to the stay ready, I ain't got to get ready. You know? And I kept putting off boarding up my house. I kept watching, and I'm like, you know, it'll take us 2 hours to do this probably. I'm going to wait. And once I saw when I made the turn, I'm like, I don't have to do it now.
Yeah.
But, you know, keep the information in, stay aware of what's happening, stay up to date. But the media cycle around these things doesn't help because
Right.
they hype it so bad. You know, the meteorologists, this is their Super Bowl when these occur. It's their moment.
Yeah, and they had like a 10-day Super Bowl.
Oh my God, it was like Mardi Gras.
I think they were almost getting burned out on it. They were like, and it still hasn't.
It's only moving 1 mile an hour now, guys. When we're going to talk about how bad.
You could have outran that storm.
You could have walked away from it.
Literally outran it. It was moving about 5 miles an hour.
That's just crazy. But they hype it up so much, and they love to go to the stores and show the empty shelves. They show the empty gas stations, and then it cracks me up. I wonder how disappointed Jim Cantore was.
Yeah, he shaved his head for no reason.
Did you watch the Weather Channel at all?
I watched a little bit of it.
I watched quite a bit of it.
I don't get Weather Channel at my house.
Oh,
The service I use. When we were in New York, I had the Weather Channel there.
Yeah.
When I got back, I just had Fox or CBS,
Right.
so I didn't have the great
Oh, it was so funny.
vivacious
Well,
Jim Cantore.
Jim Cantore started out in South Florida.
Yeah.
And they would put the map up showing where all their people were, and they'd be going to them to standing on the beach with sunshine and shit, talking about the hurricane coming. But Jim Cantore's icon kept moving up the coast because, you know, he has to be at landfall.
Yeah.
And
So he went like Fort Lauderdale, Daytona Beach.
Yes,
you know.
exactly. And then he's up in Flagler, and then he's in Savannah. And to just watch him move up the coast, because during a hurricane, what is Jim Cantore going to do?
Yeah.
He's going to go stand outside in the wind and the rain and scream into a microphone. How does that help? What information does that bring to any of us? Nothing, none whatsoever. So don't let yourself fall into the hype is one thing. The technology's advanced so much now that we can see these things way out. What they're really good at predicting is how strong they're potentially going to get. What they're really bad at predicting still is exactly where they're going to go. They have a rough idea.
Yeah.
But
They got a ballpark.
it's a broad area. Yeah. So don't get too caught up in the hype.
The cone of uncertainty.
The cone, I was laughing at that. Because what was the movie Up with the cone of shame? For the Weather Channel's cone of shame. So don't get caught up in the hype, you know. use your head, but prepare, you know?
Yeah.
And the earlier you prepare, the better off you're going to be. Like, one of the things I noticed was D-batteries.
Yeah.
I don't know what kind of lights people are using for backup, but
apparently a lot of people still have the old mag lights.
apparently D-cell mag lights are huge, because no one had D-cell batteries in my town. I went to the Batteries Plus store because I needed a big 12-volt sealed battery for something. And while I was in there, I said, "Do you guys have any D batteries?" He's like, "Oh, we're all sold out." I said, "Do you have any rechargeable D batteries?" We got this pack right here. Points to the shelf, and I go over and I pick it up, and it's 2 rechargeable D-cell batteries, a brand I've never heard of, for $33 for 2 D-cell batteries. And he's like, "Well, in the morning we're going to have 6,000 D-cell batteries here." And he's like, "I've had 100 customers in here. They look for D-cell batteries." And I was like, "What do they want to put them in?"
Yeah.
And he went, "I don't know." It just made me laugh, you know. I mean, because nobody wants to burn candles or kerosene lanterns in their house in Florida in the summer.
Yeah.
It's just generating heat.
Yeah.
We have enough of that. So I get, lanterns or something, but it just made me laugh. There's so many quality AA lights nowadays, or USB rechargeable lights nowadays.
That's a close one.
That one was.
That was a close one.
Yeah, they're dancing with the devil.
And I will say, let's talk about a few things that I noticed this year was, like, we have Publixes, whatever grocery store you guys have, where you might live. Publix had some awesome sales.
That guy's prepared. Check that rig out. I got to point him out. That's
overland rig there.
He's ready to go. All right. Anyway. Yeah.
Man, Publix had some ridiculous sales on steaks.
Oh yeah.
Because everybody had a huge rush, cleared out all the water, and that was the only reason people were going to the store, was to get water.
Yep.
And a buddy of mine went, and he was like, "Dude, they had steaks like 75% off because they'd been sitting there longer than they should have. They had to sell the next day, and they're like, "I'll just get rid of them."
Yeah, well, you know why too? Publix is hedging their bet as well.
Yeah.
That their stores could potentially take serious damage, and they'd rather sell that stuff even at a slight loss as opposed to losing it all.
So
Publix is one of those chains in Florida that every one of their stores is a generator.
So
now.
he bought, they all have generators.
All of them.
Yeah, but a roof could still fall in or anything.
Yeah.
But like he bought like a dozen steaks and just put them in his freezer.
Yeah.
And he was like, "Dude, they were so cheap."
Yeah.
So I mean, he was able to advance his preps, on a budget.
But that was like Mel went to the store the one time, and she hits up the deli counter. And people are running through there, and they're buying, bottled water and drinks and all the typical stuff they buy. Yeah. She goes up to the deli counter and gets sliced roast beef. I like boar's head roast beef. That's the sandwiches I like to make at home. That's what I enjoy to eat. And I said, get 2 pounds of it. And I don't remember what the stuff cost, but the people around here were looking. They're like, in her cart is just these 2 big 1-pound bags of sliced roast beef. Right. And they're like, "Well, they're out of bottled water." She's like, I'm not looking for bottled water.
Let's do some roast beef.
She's like, "Is there some rye bread around here?"
Yeah.
we don't have to run out for any of that. We don't have to run out for batteries. We don't have to. And see, folks, too, something to think about. We knew this thing was coming 10 days out. When the stores run out in the first couple days, as soon as they start talking about it, you know who could still get stuff to your house? Amazon.
Yeah.
Up until probably 2 days before a storm will hit,
so
you can still get delivery to your house.
Because we ship so much stuff with the company. UPS's ruling is they'll deliver until there's sustained winds of 50 miles an hour.
Really?
So that's what UPS goes by. Huh. So because I think it's truck.
Oh yeah, that's liability for that point.
So, it could even be a day or two up to a storm. They can still be delivering things that you might need. I will say, Oklahoma sent a lot of people here.
Oklahoma, man, those guys, holy crap.
We got search and rescue here. They had another search and rescue, like the command center.
Yeah, they had the command center.
So I don't even know I'm sure there's
who knows?
Four-wheelers,
water.
Yeah.
What?
So
Scott Snyder, I got
so yeah. So I mean, you know, a lot of people wanted us to do an after action report. There's really not.
There was no action, so there's no after action.
So
thankfully for us.
Yeah.
Thank
but
God.
we still have 2 months.
2 more months.
Yeah,
And there were
really
3
about
systems.
90 days. Yeah.
They showed. I saw one graphic that showed Dorian, you know, up right around Savannah, but it was out far enough that you could see the 3 systems coming off of Africa.
Yeah.
One of them was in the Atlantic. The other 2 were still on Africa, rolling off, and they're like, "Here come the next 3."
Yeah.
You know.
So stay prepared.
Stay ready. You ain't got to get ready.
If you were lacking in one area, now's the time.
Yep.
So that's pretty much it. You got
And
anything
also,
else?
you know, too, if you're one of those folks that didn't get a generator or you want a generator, right now is a really good time to go buy them. Because there's a few ways to do it. One is you can go to the retailers, Lowe's, Home Depot, whatnot, and buy the unboxed returns at a severe discount.
Yep.
Because they'll still take them back as long as they didn't have gas and motor oil put into them. Or Craigslist.
Yeah.
Because some people will buy them, gas them up and everything, try to return it and get told no.
Told negative.
And then they're going to unload it on Craigslist and you can get a really good deal there too. So there's still opportunity here, even when there's, you know, negative things going on. You know, and the water thing, you know, order some of those 7-gallon water bricks.
Water bricks.
Order those water bricks, stick them in the garage or up in the attic, and when the hurricanes come, take them down and fill them up. You don't need bottled water.
Yeah, go get a water bob for your
tub.
bathtub.
Yeah, I use 15-gallon drums is what I have. And so when the storm's coming, I'm on a well. I have a generator, I have power too, but I break out 4 of those barrels, so that's 60 gallons of water. I take them out by my well, I fill them up, and I just leave them sitting there. They're not going to go anywhere. If I need water, they're right there, I'll get them. And if you guys hit my YouTube page up, you'll see a video on how to backfeed your house and have running water out of a barrel like that. You know, if you plan ahead and you're not last minute, this stuff doesn't have to cost you a fortune. It doesn't have to interfere with your budget, and you can just stay ready. You know, we're on the road right now, and we're probably prepared for about anything that can happen.
Yeah, we got an F-250 that's full.
With everything from tools to camping equipment to food, water. There's bottled water back there. There's medical gear. There's everything.
Yeah.
You know, we're ready to go. Oh, that's one of the things I was going to say is the other prep that I made was I prepared all my like salvage equipment. Tow straps, ropes, come-alongs, chains, and had that in milk crates in my shop to slide into the bed of my truck.
And we're going to do a separate video on this. So I had a box set up that was just full rain gear that was ready. So I had Gore-Tex jacket, Gore-Tex pants, rubber boots, my big flashlight, a headlamp, and so if I had to, because one of the things was, like, I hate it more than anything when a hurricane hits at night. You hear things, but you can't see things. It's raining hard, and so you have to just go out in it every now and then when you hear something. When you hear a tree fall, you don't know if it fell on a neighbor's house, something like that. You have to sometimes go check it out. So I had full rain gear sitting there, ready to rock and roll, including clear glasses or goggles. That's a very forgotten thing.
Overlooked and
because there is debris flying around, there's water flying around.
Well, and even walking around in the dark. You know, nothing is where you thought it was in the dark, and it's probably moving if it's in a hurricane. So eye protection is a big deal.
I had all that sitting there, you know, ready to rock and roll just in case. But we're going to be doing another video just showing you kind of those couple of systems that we had put together, ready to go in case we had to put them into action. We weren't stumbling around for them. So.
Yeah, I had my PVS-14 mounted to my helmet, which is a ballistic helmet, a bump helmet I would have rather had for this event, but it was ballistic. But it was PVS-14's mounted, and it was hanging by my front door. If I had to go outside for something, I mean, I had flashlights, but I also had that. And just like you, my rain gear was hanging at the front door, And I don't do rubber boots, but I do Gore-Tex boots. They were right by the front door too.
Yeah.
So I was ready to go.
So that's it. But we
Yeah.
appreciate you guys coming along this ride with us. We are still in Atlanta.
The happiest place on earth.
But if you guys like this video, make sure you hit the like button. Comment below on what you guys did if you were in the Florida or East Coast area, and have gone through a hurricane recently. And until next time, stay safe.